Hello everyone, this is Dark Phoenix, and today we are going to be reviewing the banner that's coming out, and as you can see, it is, well, the next event that's coming out is Final Fantasy 15, known as End of Days. So, this is, from what we can see from here, is a event that's going to be an exchange event from the King, also known as a King Mug event. So, these are ideally events that you exchange a specific currency to try and get items, so you can just, well, get free equipment and try and do stronger budget builds. And so by this we can confirm that we are going to get Neovision Noctis and Neovision Arden, along with NVA Erenea and NVA Nyx, I believe. So as you can see from here, we've got, of course, just of course, 4-star to MVEX tickets, which you can get from just completing Pro, Elite, and Legend for the quests and whatnot. So we can get now the Scarlet Blade, which is a dagger, which can be used by any dagger user, but the effect can only be used by Nyx. Now, for those of you who don't understand what it means by Nyx only, or a character's name only, it means that only that character will gain the ability that's assigned to that weapon. So for example, Nyx will only be able to activate Pride for his home, which boosts equipment attack by 25% when armed with two one-handed weapons. But it can be upgraded to Crimson Flames, which is essentially on par to Dark Vision's equipment, just like Gilgamesh's Naginata. In the turn, but instead of having 25% when you are dual wielding, it's now 50% and boosts limit burst damage by an extra 50%. So that, in my opinion, is kind of okay, or, well, it's good, but the only problem is that 50% would be so useful for a lot of characters that you can use daggers, like, for example, Fikish, for example, 5-star base Zidane, or Neovision Zidane that we'll get at some point in the future. But even still, if you like Nyx, go for it. I'm still going to go for it regardless, but whether or not I have Nyx as an MVA at this point, I don't know. Of course, seems as though we can also upgrade the King's Glaive hood. Of course, note, if you were here, if you were playing the original when the first Final Fantasy 15 banner first came out, you would have gotten this. For those of us that didn't get it, we can't get two versions of the plus, but we can at least get one. And then we have the bulletproof one, which, well, the bulletproof suit, which of course increases lightning resistance, a bit of HP, a bit of defense, and then you got the plus version. So yeah, of course, if you only got one of them, if you've already got one, you can get two of them. If you haven't got, if you're only going to get this one, you can only get one of them, obviously. Of course, in the 5-star game, select summon ticket, of course, it was mentioning that the next one's going to be the 15th. This is the event for it. So, unit of choice tickets. Well, those of you who already play already know what they're for. Those of you who don't, basically, you have to exchange, if you want a unit, I have to exchange 10 of these to get a 5-star unit. And you can use these to get ones that become MVA, or ones that are just 5, or those that only go up to 7-star but are still good to this day, like 5-star Vaughn, the Black Friday Zon, who else? And a few others I can't put to name right now. But you can also use it to gain MVA, to get units that turn into MVA, and you already have that unit with their STMR and them at the max level 120, you can turn them to an MVA. I'll explain that later, but because it's a Final Fantasy 15 event, of course, that means we get at least an MVA, and the MVA for this is, well, and the MVAs are, of course, looking from this, it looks like the MVAs for this event are Neovision Noctis and Neovision Awakening Nyx for 300%. 200% is Nyx and Cindy, and the 100%, of course, as you can see on here. So, of course, my information and calculations for this was a little bit off, so that's my bad, but I could be incorrect because Of course, they treat global and the Japan versions a little bit differently. So yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, yes, here we go. The Chronicle Battles. Chronicle Battles, as some people will explain, which some people have already explained, but I'll explain it simply, like, I'll explain it here as well. Chronicle Battles are battles that you will that basically you do to upgrade specific STMRs. For example, in this one, the specific STMR is Crown Prince Noctis's Ultimate Blade, which by doing this, you can increase its attack power and give it specific abilities, but it will only be unique to, well, Neovision Noctis or Cobalt Blade Noctis. What it's saying here is to try and do this battle, like these units that are shown right now are gonna gain the bonuses just to gain these 300% parameter bonuses to be able to be a bit more bulkier or be able to deal the damage and whatnot. But from these we can gain the Moogle Charm. We can gain the Moogle Charm at some point. Ultimate Blade, as I was saying, which as you can see, only these abilities can work. Yeah, we can upgrade Eminea's Helm as well, which are really kind of good, not the best, but kind of good. Of course, the main one that you're going to be going for is, of course, the exchange item, which is mainly meant for, which is unique to Nyx for the ability, and Crown Prince Noctis's Ultimate Blade, which is, well, actually goes past the Dark Ragnarok. So you really want to, like, something to give you a bit of bulk and boost and whatnot, go for this, like, go for it, because it will be worth it. Of course, these are the battles, these are the insignia battles that we've got coming up, and so that's that for the event banner. Now let us have a look at what else is coming here, if the game would like to work. Thank you. So of course, known issues, you already know about that. Whoops, sorry about that. I thought I turned that off. Wait 1 second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. That was, of course, newsfeed, because I'm doing the recording off my phone, and I can't get rid of that notification, unfortunately. It's not on my settings, so we're just gonna have to continue on. But yes, so now the feature summons: Neovision Noctis, Nyx, and Cindy. So let us go through these units in terms of what they give. So we'll go with, first of all, Neovision Noctis, but in the Japan version, Azure Blade Noctis, or in this one, Cobalt Blade Noctis. So let us go through him. As you can see in both, in global, he's getting some upgrades and whatnot. Pardon me. Here we go. So in his base form, he's a chaining family with Bolting Strike, and Stardust Ray. Now, I'm not gonna know what these abilities are because I don't understand. I'm not gonna know what these abilities names are because I don't understand the language. Well, no, not just I don't understand the language, but I can't even translate it either. But innately, he's gonna be able to do Stardust Ray. He's got a light physical attack which allows him to evade 2 physical attacks and add light to his attacks. And the evade is gonna last for 5 turns. And then he's got one which can, and then he's got Stardust Ray, which which will decrease light resistance by 120% for 5 turns. A lot of units have this, but for Noctis's main goal, like, it will be helpful. He has an ability which can increase all stats minus HP and MP, obviously, by 250% for 5 turns to all allies, and increase damage to Reapers by 150% for him. This can actually be really good for bosses that you're finding hard, for example, like Ashura, because she, even to this day, like until we gain the genies, is one of the hardest bosses to try and beat. He also has a Magus which deals, which has a 9 modifier, physical damage to times, I think 9 or 90. What it says 90 times on the Wikipedia that I'm looking at, damage to one enemy, so it's kind of good. He has an innate 150 dual wield, true dual wield, and and of course he, in his base form, it looks like he mainly focuses on chaining from the looks of it. Yeah, from the looks of it, it looks like he mainly focuses on chaining. So that will be kind of interesting. But his limit burst, which is fairly good, you're not going to really want it for the damage that it can give, even though you could possibly chain it with a bunch of other families because it's got 15 hits. You're going to want it for that 25 is decrease to swords. Basically, for those of you who don't know, what I mean by decrease to swords, there are some units that can decrease enemies' resistance to specific equipment. And what this means is if one of your units has that specific equipment, for example, swords in this case, but if a unit decreases it, and in Noctis' case by 25%, that unit or units, if they are chaining or they have that type of weapon equipped, are going to do 25% more damage to that opponent. So basically, it's how you can try and get, say you need a little bit more damage in to try and make a plan work. That's how you're going to be able to do it. So now let us focus. Now we're going to go into Noctis' Brave Shift form. Noctis' Brave Shift form is the same as his previous one. It's in the fact that, of course, he has Bolting Strike chainings and Stardust Ray chainings. Now, looking at his abilities on here, he also has a jump ability. Those of you who don't know, Noctis is one of the few units that is really good for the Ymir boss battle because of the jump ability and whatnot. The fact that you can decide when it lands and what. But yeah, so he still has, for his Stardust Ray, he still has, I think, the Meg. Oh, well, he has the he has the one that does the evasion and adds light to his attacks. But the new abilities, he has, of course, the light physical jump attack that has a delay that you will decide when it comes. So basically, it'll be in the air for 2 turns. He then has a cooldown which increases his attack by 300% for 5 turns. Limit burst damage by 150 for 6 turns and cannot be dispelled. And increases light physical and magical damage for 5 turns by 20%. And he also activates an ability for 6 turns, but I have no idea what it is, so we'll look at it later. And then his, I guess you could say, Grandiose, as we call it for the Brave Shift forms, or for just any Neovision, is deals light damage, which is a Stardust Ray chain as well, and decreases light resistance by 20%. I possibly already mentioned this, but I think it was a little bit different. So you can try and set him up as a chainer, but it's hard to tell. And he also is one of the few units to have the unique ability of having his attack as something else. For those of you who don't know, what we mean by having his attack as something else, we mean that, for example, take Zezet as an example, who's a 5-star unit. He has an ability that instead of dealing normal attacks, if you have him just attack normally, his attacks will decreases the opponent's spirit and can attack all opponents. So Crown Prince Noctis has that as well. So let us have a look. There are some of the cooldowns. So I'm having a look at this because it's hard to know what it's hard to know what certain abilities do, but there are conditional ones. And okay, yeah. So there is one that's the ability that's activated by his cooldown, which I can kind of tell from this. Basically, it's got enhanced modifiers and it's got enhanced modifiers and increases the limit burst gauge by 16, or essentially 1,600 crystals for 6 turns, and it cannot be dispelled. So that's an ability you can activate. There's one that's a bolting strike chain on here, but I don't know how you activate it, unfortunately. So whoops. But yeah, and his limit burst is essentially physical damage to one enemy. Okay, so that's from looking at the wiki page for what he's capable of. I'm not going to be drawing for Crown Prince Noctis. Well, not Crown Prince, sorry. For Cobalt Blade Noctis. I'm not at all. Ideally, it would be good for a jump unit, but he's not a unit I desperately need, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, he's really good, but I don't need him. Especially considering that, even though his abilities are good for the Ultimate Blade, which you can get off Crown Prince Noctis, I don't essentially need him. He would be good to have as like a jump capper or as a bit of a chainer, but I don't require him. We can also look at his vision card, which is a cure for insomnia. The cure for insomnia. So let us have a quick look at that. Of course, I won't, as we know the name on here, but on the Japan version it doesn't say, but base stats for it is 60 attack, maximum stat, and when I mean by base I mean like level 1, maximum's level 10, is 110. It's a good card if you just need a pure attack for it. The abilities it gives is essentially from level 4 to 7, it's enhanced, increase the attack damage, increase your attack by 80% when you've got a sword equipped, which is pretty decent, pretty good. You don't get a lot of like a lot of materials that can go like from 80 to 100. Well, you do, but like they're not that good. They don't have the high attack power to it in terms of just it being in the main series. It's normally with time limited units like Riku, Sora, Elderwin, etc. The last ability, which is at level 10, which is only usable by Final Fantasy 15 units, is well, what no, it says, but increases Dark and Fire resistance by 25% and increases jump damage by 5%. Now, this would be good for, of course, Noctis, but also good for Aranea when she gets her MV, when she gets her MVA. Now, the reason why it would be good for her when she gets her MVA is because, well, she can be, if you don't have Noctis, but you have Aranea, you could use her as your jump capper to try and deal the damage. So yeah. Now we're gonna look at the TMRs and the STMRs, as you can see on here. So the TMR is a sword known as Bahamut. So it has the Royal Line of Lucius, Guide to the Light, which are the two abilities. So of course, these can, I think Guide of the Light can be activated by anyone. I'm not sure. That might be incorrect. I have no idea. Because it said. Wait 1 second. I think Royal Bloodline of Lucius can only be used by, as it says on here, Noctis, Crown Prince Noctis, of course, Neovision Noctis and Arden, and also Neovision Arden at some point, which, as it says on here, increase jump damage by 100%. Ideally, you can use that if you want to, if you get Noctis. Ideally, when you get Neovisions, it's good to get their TMRs and just try and get their EX2 to get their STMR, because it creates too much confusion. And then the TMR, and then the second ability, which I think doesn't matter if you're Noctis or not. It doesn't say on here. It doesn't say on here. It doesn't say on the Wikipedia. Increases light damage of limit burst abilities and magic at the beginning of battle and after being revived. That's semi a lie. It basically lasts essentially the entirety of the fight, because on here, but it increases it by 10%. It lasts for, on here it says almost 100,000 turns, essentially the entire battle, because there's no way it's gonna there's no way the battle's gonna last that long, because hopefully by that point you've defeated the opponent. So yeah, next we're gonna go to the STMR, which is a piece of clothing. I believe it's the, at this, when it comes out, is the strongest armor in terms of just attack, but it is called the Kingly Raiment, as it says on here. Flat for the just base stats, 57 attack, 30 defense, 40 spirit. Kind of okay, not the best in terms of like defensive, but it's good for an attacker. and has the Savior to the Star ability, which boosts physical damage against Reapers, good for trying to beat Ashura by 50%, and boost the damage of jump abilities by 100%, good for Noctis or any jumper that you're trying to use as a kappa. Here we go. So the abilities, as I was saying, the Stardust Ray one is called Warp Light, which I says Stardust Ray, and then as I was saying, the jump one, of course, Warp Strike, and the Magus one or the Grandiose one is called Return of Dawn. Next we have Nyx. As I was saying, of course, he has a unique weapon that's unique to him for the abilities and whatnot. So if you can get him, I'm not going to pull for Nyx, but I am going to have him as an MVA because I am going to possibly use my my NBA ticket unless we get him for free. But from the looks of it, it doesn't look like we're going to get him for free, so I'm going to have to use tickets to get him. Let me have a quick of course you can have a look at these at a different point. Like, well, you already know what Nyx's dagger and Guard of the Future does, but we have new featured abilities in his standard in his base form. So let me just bring that up quickly. Nyx. Note, guys, I am using the Wikipedia for this, so sorry if it's taken a while. So let us have a look at Nyx based off the Japan's information. In his base form, he becomes a Bolting Strike Chaos Wave Awakening, strangely enough, and of course he was the one who started off the Kingslave chain family, which is why he has the Kingslave ability. So yeah. So those are the abilities he'll gain as that. Of course, as it said on there, and it says on here, he's going to be attacker, a attack support unit, because he's going to be able to deal attacks, he's going to be able to do debuffs, he's going to be able to do buffs. As it says, and of course, Bone Crusher Helm Splitter X reduces the stats on here as it's showing. Let me find out how much he does it by 85%, so that's actually a pretty decent amount. The only downside to it is that it's a cooldown, but when you have a few enemies that can you have a few units that can do this easily, like Vaughn can do it by 80% with his limit burst, Ferris can do it by 85% with her full breakdown, and I believe there are possibly a few other units, but those are the only ones I can think off the top of my head. And Memories of Selena, let me have a quick look up at this. So of course on here it says changes effect of normal attack to damage and reduce the defense of all enemies. I think it's gonna go based off of his attack stat. It looks like it, but yeah. So yeah. Like I said, so of course he's got one of the Kingslave ability in his 6 stars, and I understand how it's going to be, and I also understand how it's going to be a Chaos Wave Awakening, because the fact that he has Fundaga and Firaga. If those of you who do not know, in the Japan version, and now in this version, the magics got upgraded to be Chaos Wave Awakening, because there were ideally units that you could do high magic with, but their abilities were either to be a magic finisher or they weren't to be at all. And it was annoying because for all you know, you could set up an attack unit to be 100% evasion as an example, and you might need that extra chain just to one shot an opponent fairly easily. So I think that's why they've done it. That's what I think they could have done it for. But anyway, now we're going to go into his Brave Shift abilities. So Warp Loosened, as it says on, so it deals light damage as it says on here and reduces it by 120. So essentially a replacement for Noctis if you don't get Neovision Noctis. And it also chains with Stardust Ray, because in his British form he chains with let me have a quick look. He chains with Bolting Strike, Stardust Ray, and Protector's Bayonet, which is actually the tag unit of well, the free tag unit that you should have, or that you should have gotten, hopefully. If you haven't, it's not a bad thing. It's just essentially it's a free tag Neovision unit, and like those are actually like a little bit OP. But don't want to show Cindy yet. Basically, Protector's Bayonet is Neovision, Charlotte and Vitalis's Brave Shift ability, limit burst. But yeah, as I was saying, Warp Lucent is a Stardust Ray ability that that also gets upgraded. So that 120% is most likely what's going to be upgraded along with the damage. He has a Bolting Strike one, obviously. That's also an upgradable one. Not sure how you're going to upgrade it. And then the Grandiose one, which is called the King of Lucius's Blessing, as it says, adds light element and enables specific abilities and boosts the damage of certain abilities. It does say that on here. I don't. It lasts for 4 turns, but I don't know what the abilities are that are going to be increased on here are, because I can't read Japanese. I know that's a bad thing to be saying, but it's one of the few reasons why you don't see me playing the Japan version on here, especially because I can't get it on my phone. But yeah, ideally, if I were to say, his limit burst is also what changed with Protector's Bayonet. So if you need someone to try and chain with Charlotte and Vitalis Neovision tag team unit, of course there are a few other units, but if you need someone specifically like to work as an attacker, you can use Neovision Awakening Nyx. So yeah, of course he does have innate awakening abilities as well in his kit, but those are what I'm gonna show you. In my opinion, like I said, I might try and go for Nyx. The only reason why I'm gonna try and go for Nyx is because I just want that extra 300% for the exchange. I'm not gonna go for Neovision Noctis. I'm gonna go for Nyx in terms of I might try and use tickets, and if I can't use tickets, I'll just use a unit of choice to try and get him, because I have a 50% STM Amigo from the Easter bundle tickets that were available. So I'll use that and try and get Nyx to MVA. I'm not sure if I'll get him to EX1, but I'll at least get him to MVA. And last off, we have Cindy. Let me get her up. Cindy, who is actually just support, as it's showing on here and on the Wikipedia. So her TMR, the Hammerhead Hat, activates love for the regalia, as it says on here, increasing field limit burst gauge by 200 or 2 crystals, but for every turn. And her STMR, which is materia that increases damage to, as it says on here, machine monsters and physical and magical damage to machines by 100%. Good for Scorn of Omega or normal Omega if you need help with it. And of course increases MP by 5%. That's pretty decent. Cindy, well, as I said, she's just pure support. She can double cast she has double cast in her kit. Yeah, she has double cast in her kit, and her kit's not that good, unfortunately. Well, in a sense, it's not that good because the major abilities that you're gonna get are gonna be from her cooldowns, and those are a 4-turn cooldown, but they're available from turn 1, so that's the decent thing. But she has an ability that increases all stats by, except for HP and MP, obviously. Why am I even saying that? But anyway, she has that. She has an ability that increases all the major stats by 200% for 3 turns. She can recover 50% MP, but it could be more but you can get more from like other units such as Volca by 50, and then increase the limit burst gauge by essentially 600 crystals or by 6. And then she has an ability which removes all status elements from enemies and your units, which is, it's a double-edged sword. You're removing, say, like a positive, but you're also removing a negative from your opponent. But you can also remove a negative from you, but also positive, which means you have to reinstate them. One of her cooldowns, she exchanges the Spirit and Defense for magic by increasing them by 280% for 3 turns. Is alright. She then has one which allows us to increase physical and magical damage by 100% to machines for all allies by 3 turns, and mitigates physical and magical damage by machines by 50% for 3 turns. I think Renora's got a less advantage for that, but he can do the job better because he doesn't have cooldown versions of it. He's got the actual versions of it. And she also has an ability which allows her to increase lightning physical and magical damage for all allies by 50% for 3 turns. That's okay, but I don't see all of my units using lightning attacks. Like, ideally, they brought her out to try and deal with Scorn over Omega. That's the way how I see it. So she's not that good because she's only good for essentially a specific boss. Has an ability that upgrades the normal attack, but I don't know what it does because it's not on here and whatnot. But she does increase her attack by 150%. So she's like lightning. She's one of the few units when she has any weapon equipped with or without a shield. So essentially a double hand / shield hand. That's just the new name I think we're going to come up with it. So ideally, that's Cindy. That's those units. I'm not going to pull for Cindy. Of course, the time I post the Omega video, I have no idea yet. So it might be a while. But like I said, I'm not going to go for Cindy. I'm going to go for Nyx. Try and get him to MVA. If I get at least one of him, I'll use the 50% STMR Moogle that I've got to try and get his STMR. Unless, if it's at 50%, if it's not, I'll try and get 2 Nyxes then. Use one STMR Moogle and 1 Nyx and turn the other one into fragments. But that's that for the summoning of units. Of course, unit intro cards and whatnot. We've got the vision card. Now, equipment enhancement event. After having one from the Final Fantasy Tactics, we have got this one again. This is actually really, 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 really good. Because at the point of... From that point, which was essentially near the end of the month, I believe. Or the start of the month, I can't remember. Well, either the start of this month or the end of last month, I can't remember. Of course, we had Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Visions, not Tactics, sorry. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, War of the Visions, or it should just be called Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Visions, because that's why it plays like Final Fantasy Tactics. Of course, we got an enhancing. We got the equipment enhancement, which gave us the rare ability to get tie-dyed and a bonus to attack, but that's not going to be on here, unfortunately. But oh well, you don't really use daggers that much to do attack. You use them for evasion, and either way, getting high-tied and a decent amount of attacks is okay, because daggers are not OP, but they're OP enough for the specific units that they can use. And those units who are OP to use them, it can equip swords as well, so yeah. Of course, I'm going to be doing this because they will give me because you get a free TMR from the 1 to 4 star units. So, and there are some decently good TMRs that you can get from the 4-star units, from the 3 to 4 star units, mainly the 4-star units. But yeah, we have something for Bahamut. Hey, it's finally happening. We are now going to get Bahamut at 3 stars. Woo! I will not lie, this is going to be hard. I'm not going to lie about that, because Bahamut, if you know because the way how they're going to do this is they're going to do this like the Chamber of the Fallen Bahamut, in the terms that you have to get the break gauge down for him and then you can start dealing proper damage to him. So it is going to be hard. I won't be doing it straight away. I don't really require 3-star Bahamut. I would like to get him, but I don't require him yet. So it depends if I go for him or not. So if I do go for him, I'll post a video of it, but it will be hard. I will most likely be destroyed. Anything else that we've got on here? The miscellaneous updates. An EX coin exchange. Oh. Okay. I have no idea what this is talking about fully. It's something that's going to be introduced permanently. So this must have been what the producer or the head honcho of the global version of Brave X was talking about, how they're trying to figure out / implement a way to get VIP coins so that you did not need to essentially purchase a lapis or bundles just so you can get them. which is actually really decent and good, because I'm not going to lie, it's, well, because it's actually like a lot of us who want to try and get specific thing cannot, because those of us are just permanent free to play, or some of us don't have enough, like we're just like a few coins off from trying to get a specific ticket. But yeah, so that's actually really good. I'm not sure how they're going to implement it, like for you to obtain them, but it sounds pretty good, because the expedition for the VIP coins was just not worth it at all. And the miscellaneous updates, so that's actually really decent then. For those of you who are newly playing and you're not at the high ranks, you're gonna get this. You can now start playing doing events until you're at rank 50 for free. And of course, as it's saying, introducing Chronicle Battles. So here you go. So Chronicle Battles, E-Fit to obtain recipes for further enhancing equipment such as Erenaeus Helm and Crown Prince Noctis' Super Trust Master Reward, the Ultimate Blade. You can obtain amazing rewards such as VIP coins, basic gears, and more. Select units will receive item drop bonuses as well as parameter bonuses. Please refer to the respective event. So that's essentially what it's saying. All units from Final Fantasy 15 are going to gain the respective parameters bonus, but I don't know how much by the percentage. For all I know, it could be that Neovisions and Neovision Awakening units could be gaining 300% more of the 3% more of the insignias needed for this. Of course, half energy events going on. All chambers are open. There's a special bun. Okay, we'll look at those later. Amazing enhancements and half girl awakening campaigns. These are actually really good, because those of you who don't understand, just trying to get a 5-star to 7-star. The process is fairly long, obviously, but just to get them to that point is annoying. Because it costs 3 million gil. Now, essentially, you can get the gil easily from raid events and from raid events and the elemental battles, which are essentially like stuff from the Halloween, Easter, Lunar New Year's, and Christmas events. I possibly already mentioned that, but basically, they're just battles that you do. Essentially, consider them like energy consuming raid battles. Just see them like that. That's how you can get them via the skill snappers. But yeah, so all the chambers for the enhancements are going to be done. We are also getting a free weekly Final Fantasy 15. So nice. So this is how they're going to be doing it. So players can. So as it's saying on here, what it's saying from what I can see from this, it's saying that you perform this obviously once a week. It's going to be different for each event, obviously. If you do this, you have a chance. Of course, you'll gain 10 normals, or you'll gain 10 3 to 4 stars. But as it's saying on here, 10 free to Neovision units. Yeah, and the last one will either be a rainbow of any type, or it will be a guaranteed Prince Noctis if it is Neovision. So if it's Neovision, you are guaranteed to get a Prince Noctis. So that's actually really good, but the chances of that actually happening are very slim. So you best pray that the luck gods are on your side, because I know they're not always on mine. Prince Noctis is this is basically you pay a bit of money for it. You have a higher rate of getting Prince Noctis for this. Like I said, I'm not gonna go for Prince Noctis. You guys can if you want to. I'm not. The Resolute Royalty login bonus, which is basically you log in and you'll just get like specific rewards like lapis, tickets, and whatnot. And the maintenance, so this will be able to have access to this at as it's saying on here, 5 PTD time, which is Pacific Standard Time. But for those of us that live in the UK, let me 1 second, because I use Google for a lot of this shit, unfortunately. Excuse the language, sorry. Hold up. It is. So we'll gain access. We'll have access to those of us that are in the UK to the game at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's a good thing. It's a bad thing. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not gonna pull for this, so you won't see a pull video for it. You might see me try and do an attempt video of showing off of nicks or whatnot. I don't know yet. But anyway, in the meantime, this is the video for the week. I'll see you guys next week for the next video, or sometime during this week for this video. Sorry it's taking me so long to do a video. I tried to keep my promise for the Ashura battle. I'm not ready for it yet. And then I've tried to do the advanced version of the Demon Chimera. I'm still trying to work out the gimmicks for the disease strategy. So that's going to take me a while to actually fully figure it out. So if you give me some time to try and figure it out, I'll see what I can do and whatnot. But until the meantime, see you guys later. Bye.